My name is Derek Rao. I was born and raised in Williams, Oregon. Population 480 on a good day, maybe. Very small town in Oregon. My wife and I, though, moved out to Massachusetts area in 2016, just for my employment. I'm living here since. Where I grew up in Oregon, in Williams, it wasn't a farm. It was just my parents owned 100 acres of land on the mountaintops of a little middle of nowhere valley, surrounded by government land. My dad worked for that government, same Bureau of Land Management who owned the land. So literally the back doors, my backyard was hundreds and hundreds of acres that I pretty much explored every single day. And most of the time, parents wouldn't see me because I was outside. So leading up to my accident, I was just in a really rapid pace in life. I always was going. I had at that time a lot of friends I was hanging out with. I was completing the final term at the community college to get my Oregon Associate of Arts transfer degree in preparation to go to a university. I was just going nonstop. I had just turned 19 years old. That weekend, I was going out with my brother-in-law, actually. He and I were out and we just rode some motorcycles and we were exploring the area. And then I parked my motorcycle at my brother-in-law's house and my sister's house. And then I recall saying goodbye to them, getting in my truck and then driving home. I don't remember the drive home whatsoever. I remember the motorcycle ride. I remember saying goodbye. But then I recall nothing after that whatsoever. The next event that I do remember was days later. I woke up in the hospital with bright lights in my face. I tried to move, but immediately was pinned down by my shoulders. There's a nurse luckily present in the room when I woke up. And they told me immediately, Derek, do not move. You've had a terrible accident and you broke your neck. And I passed back out because how many drugs they were pumping into me. I don't remember that too much after that, but I was continually just going in and out. It was an induced coma they had to give me just to keep from moving so much and possibly injuring myself. Upon waking up fully, the prognosis was that they informed me while driving home about 500 feet or so from the base of my driveway, my truck hit a cement culvert. It's the back tire, which then happened to pitch the truck sideways, and then flipped over 5 times total, roughly. What ended up occurring, luckily, was it landed on all 4 tires still, but my head was thrown outside the window, and the top of the truck was completely pinning my head out the window. So likely I was hanging outside the window, looking dead pretty much. I was cut up, blood. I had quite a bit of blood, apparently head wounds, how that happened. When the first responders showed up, they were just the local first responders in Williams. But when they saw my truck, they were like, okay, well, call in a cleanup crew because we're gonna have to actually clean up the body because this person is dead. When they did arrive, they actually had to helicopter me to the local hospital to begin the diagnoses, starting with smaller injuries. I had 2 broken ribs, somehow hit my jaw somewhere, I don't know where, but my entire jaw was completely shattered, fractured TMJ joint on my left side. And the biggest injury, though, of course, was my broken neck. Definitely part of the scariest things that can ever happen is wake up in a hospital and having no idea what's going on. I'm sure there's plenty of other things that anyone else can say for sure, but part of the scary moments of my life. It's typically a broken bone will take, 8 or 10 weeks. Mine was 9 months for multiple reasons. At about 6 months in, though, the doctor, Dr. Ross was his name, he approached me and he said, you have 2 scenarios that you need to look at right now. Scenario 1 is you remain motionless, you do everything you can to focus on healing, you need to get this bone to start fusing right now. Because if you do not, that floating bone that snapped off, it's going to heal on itself while the remainder of that bone that's still attached to your vertebrae is going to heal in itself. So you're just going to have a floating bone there, and there'll be no structural support to your spine. If that happens, you're going to hit scenario 2, where we're going to have to take 2 titanium rods and fuse your C1 and C2 vertebrae together, and you will lose 70% of the motion in your neck. At that moment right there is when I was hit with absolute fear, because I realized if that occurred, it would be a debilitating physical effect on me that I didn't want to have to endure the rest of my life. But we left the doctor's office, got to the car, and immediately I started weeping. Very rarely do I ever cry. On occasions, I'm not saying it's a bad thing, and cry. Everyone's supposed to show emotions in their own ways. For me, it's very rare occurrences, and this was like one of the last few times I remember when I actually wept because of absolute fear of how my life was going to completely change. And going home, like really just focused on those 4 or 6 weeks, I believe it was. I did absolutely nothing but laid on my back as much as possible. Not even moving, doing everything, praying all the time. Just, God, please start doing something to my body to start mending. Like I reached a breaking point. I was terrified. 6 weeks later, I went to the doctor again, and he took the x-ray. And for the first time, he came up to me and he said, "Hey, Derek, come here." He never called me into a different room. He walked me over to the x-ray that was on the wall, and he said, "Look right here." And I said, I don't know what I'm looking at. Like, what am I supposed to be seeing here? He says, "Look at the neck. Look at your C2 vertebrae." So it's about that wide. And he says slight discoloration. Slight discoloration was like 2 millimeters wide. Very small, not much at all. I said, "Yeah." And he says, that is your bone starting to fuse together. Your body's healing itself. But about 8 weeks later or so, we went back in for the final visit. The doctor said, I took the last x-ray, he showed me it, and that 2 millimeters changed to pretty much the majority of the width of my neck. And he said, your neck is healed. He says, whatever you did, you're able to actually, your body healed itself. You're not going to have to deal with fused vertebrae. You are likely going to have a full recovery. I have complete motion in my neck, no issue whatsoever. I can look completely both directions with no issue. Because of my accident, I am where I am at now. It was back in 2008, prior to my accident. I was in my final semester at community college, and I was planning to immediately after that semester transfer up to Oregon State University. But because of my accident, things changed dramatically. But during that last semester, I was doing a math class, and there was a girl in the class, Lindsay, who's my wife. Started talking during that class, and we're starting to build a friendship. But then my accident occurred, and my teacher learned about it like a week later, because I wasn't showing up to class. When he learned about it, it was on the day of the final, where he announced to the class. He said, hey, a lot of you guys will probably remember your classmate Derek. He was in a terrible accident. I'm not sure if he's going to make it. Lindsay, she interpreted that as Derek's dead. So fast forward about 9 months, of course. I was in the soft collar. I had messy hair. I had lost like 40 pounds because of the eating was tough. It just so happened that there was a girl at my church who was best friends with Lindsay. And Lindsay happened to be hanging out with them that weekend, so Lindsay was at church. So I noticed her across the aisle. I was like, I remember her. So after the service was over, I got up and walked over to her, and I said, hey, I remember you. You were in my math class. I don't know if you remember me, but yeah, I'm here. So Lindsay saw me, and she pretty much was just like, oh my gosh, you're alive. So played the whole Lazarus card. Works out great. After that point, we then built a friendship more and more. We started talking more, and we realized that, because of that, like we were both transferring to Oregon State University on the same year. So I was like, oh, that's cool. I'm actually gonna hang out more, get out of the study buddy, someone I know going up there same time as me. So we transferred up to Oregon State. We were seeing different people at the time. Like within 6 months, so like we had broken up with people that we were seeing at the time. Just didn't feel like it was right. The reason I had my accident, I'm fairly certain, this is when I saw the silver lining, really. I realized God gave me this accident to postpone my life by 2 years, so that Lindsay and I would be together at Oregon State University and really get to cultivate our friendship and really grow as a couple almost. Fast forward several more years, we got married, and we have been married, it'll be six years in 10 days. So I got to prepare for that. The best silver lining ever given to me in my life, that God has ever really intervened on my life, was to make sure Lindsay is a part of my life, and I'm now married to my best friend, and I love her with all my heart. God really worked this entire situation into what my life is meant to be and where I'm at now. Like, I would in no way, shape, or manner be the person I am today. I would not be married to my wife today. I would not be in Massachusetts today. Everything because of that life occurrence molded me to be who I am today, and to be married to Lindsay today and be really just the person I am.